Basch The Brain. Long weekend. We're going to talk about it all. Brought to you by Attack ATAC. Video game stats meets real life training. Figure out your attack rating. Put in the work. Get closer to your goals. If you're not following Attack, it's an amazing workout app. It's like having a personal trainer in your pocket. Grateful for their support of the show. Willie, this weekend was just when you're a talking head in wrestling, this is the kind of weekend you want. You have everything from betting lines, which is a fun topic we can talk about. I, of course, took Penn State minus 22, got crushed with the pin. You had some senior level wrestling. You have a lot of different storylines. So I have no outline for this show. It is just let's talk wrestling for an hour.
I don't know what direction to start. I've been all over the place as far as work and like my coverage. I did Tulsa Seeds, which led me to do junior high rankings, and then I started digging into Mitch Mesenbrink and like just how much he's scoring. He won't stop scoring. And I went down this rabbit hole of who's doing the most scoring, and then I turned into an article on who has scored the most, like who's most dominant. Like it ended up Wyatt Hendrickson averages 5.6 team points a match, so he's averaging almost a pin.
Who's had more January success, Mesenbrink on the mat or you with Fortnite?
Fortnite, I never played until I used to scoff at it. Fortnite, blah, blah, blah. Right. Well, I think one time I watched Mark Hall play it, maybe. I don't know how I did that.
Well, they stream it. These guys, a lot of them will stream it, so you can just hop on a Twitch and you can watch them play.
I don't think it was a Twitch though, because I don't have Twitch. Do you have to have Twitch? I don't know.
You can just click a link.
One time I watched Mark Hall play for 15 minutes, and that was my whole experience with Fortnite. And now I don't know. My wife played it, and so I said, "Give me that controller." Now I can't stop playing.
I FaceTimed you about something. Maybe it was when we were talking about Zane, something, and you guys were just playing Fortnite. I'm like, this is why I don't have it, by the way, because I just know I'd become obsessed, and I don't have a schedule. Like, my schedule is just work all the time, and if I just start playing Fortnite, so yeah, I mean, you want to start with Penn State?
Yeah, well, I just put out a tweet, and the reason I put out the tweet is because I did this article, right? So I went through, it was like, let me see who scores the most points, and then I was like, well, that's kind of ridiculous. Let me just see who scores of the most average team points per match, because that's more ascertainable. And I was like, I'll do it for a couple guys. And then I was like, well, I'll just do it for everybody that's undefeated. And I did it. By my count, there's 24 undefeated starters left in Division I wrestling. Not counting like a Gabe Arnold or a Josh Barr,
sure,
or somebody that's in red shirt, and so there's 24 of them. Some of the names surprised me, like a Vinny Zerbin. Vinny Zerbin from Northern Colorado is undefeated with a really high rate. He has the tied for seventh. Vinny Zerbin bonus points per match is tied with Trent Hidley.
That's crazy. Yeah, he's 17-0. Wow.
Dylan Ragusin, a guy that I consider not dominant. He's been dominant this year. He's undefeated and has 4.8 team points per bout. Now, not all of these things are created equal, right? Penn State has a very low match count. Like, they have 7 guys that are undefeated, but 5 of them don't even have 10 wins. Don't even have 10 matches, right? So it's a little crazy. But so that led me to put out this tweet, and it's just mind-blowing numbers, man. And people will say, you're Penn State Willie.
Hey, Penn State Willie rocks. I'm all for it.
Here's the thing. Don't get mad at me. They're stats. I didn't make anything up. I'm not tooting somebody's horn. They're just stats, guys. Sorry about the stats. They have 7 undefeated guys. They actually have 8 because Kasich's only loss is to Bartlett, so that doesn't even count. So actually, they have 8 guys. 9 if you count 9 if you did count red shirts. Josh Barr is 8-0. Their lineup has a 967 winning percentage. They're 88-3. The only 2 people that has a loss is Bernie has 1 and Nagao has 2. 967, that's like better than like the careers of most of the greats in history.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now, that's going to come to an end because they're getting to the meat of their schedule. It can only get worse, right? It's not going to get better. But we're late January and those numbers are holding up, so it's crazy.
Yeah, quick sidebar too. I saw some people whining about Carter not wrestling Shane. And, I understand the argument of wanting guys to wrestle. At some point, we have to use common sense and say, if a guy is sick and misses a weekend, it's going to happen in sports. When you wrestle 20, 30, 40 matches a season, and, this isn't even... Sometimes when you have football or you have team sports, you can kind of get in there and just not have a great game. When you're sick, there has to be some common sense here. I saw some people talking about Carter not giving Shane a chance to beat him. And I'm like, what are we doing? If one guy is sick one weekend who puts on line every time, there's got to be some kind of common sense barrier here.
It's nonsense. Listen. I love Shane. Shane Griffith's one of my favorite guys, right? Carter Starocki ain't ducking Shane Griffith, guys. Right? I mean, Shane Griffith, he beat Bearclaw 2-1. He beat Devo's 3-2. I mean, Carter Starocki's not ducking anybody.
Yeah, and
was he ducking? Who did he have yesterday? He had somebody yesterday. He didn't wrestle either. I mean, Carter Starocki's not ducking anybody.
Yeah,
somebody said Caleb Smith. So Caleb Smith from Nebraska, this is on the internet message boards. Caleb Smith from Nebraska ducked Matt Ramos. It's like, guys, I think Caleb Smith needs that win worse than Matt Ramos.
There's such it gets to such a point where as soon as anybody doesn't wrestle, it's a duck. There's a problem. Yes, we do have a problem where duels don't matter. Yes, there's also just times guys can't wrestle. They're banged up, they're sick, they're dealing with injuries, whatever. It is a very tough sport to compete 20, 30, 40 times a year and never miss a single match. I do think that conversation gets carried away.
Yeah. I do too. I do too, but it's frustration. It's the frustration of it always happening.
Correct. No, I get it, and I don't think anybody doing it was trying to poo-poo specifically on Carter or on Penn State or whatever. I just happened to see it as soon as, I almost went on a flow rant. You'd be proud of me that I didn't go on the rant. I'm really not liking.
About what?
I hate this trend, whether it's Piles, Spay, whoever. All of a sudden, there's this trend that we're gonna poo-poo on BTN, we're going to poo-poo on ESPN, on the UFC. We're going to poo-poo on anybody who makes us look good. All of a sudden, Flo's putting out updates about the lineup and what matches aren't happening 6 hours before it happens. If that duel meets on Flo, that never happens. Oh, Carter's not wrestling tonight. Gomez isn't wrestling tonight.
That's for damn sure.
And I wanted to go on a rant because I'm like, this is so stupid. It's the same thing, and this isn't meant to be a slant towards Spay, but it's he puts out a tweet last week crying about how ESPN isn't keeping duels for more than 30 days and how, you can go watch Flo Tulsa Nationals from 2011. And I'm like, guys, poo-pooing on how anybody else runs their business, take the plank out of your own eye before. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to do it. But the opportunities were there. But I did see when Flo put out, oh, Carter's not wrestling tonight, the boo birds began about ducking, not competing, all of that. And, it's like, guys, like you said, I think the frustration is just so pent up that it's like when a guy doesn't wrestle now, it's like you can't really put the stake in the ground with that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually, I 100% see what you're saying about Flo, and they certainly wouldn't if Penn State if Flo had the Penn State Michigan match and Carter Starocki wasn't wrestling, Flo would not announce that.
Have you ever seen a graphic before? They put out a graphic lineup update. Carter not wrestling tonight at 2 p.m. I have never seen Flo do that.
On one hand, I mean it's accurate. It's updates.
No, 100%.
I would like to be informed of that. I'm glad. Like I get it, but the hypocrisy is real because they wouldn't if it was one thing. Now the Spay thing with the archives, I mean, I think he has a point. I mean, I don't like that they take him down.
He has a point. It's just all of a sudden ESPN or UFC or anybody does anything, and it's like they play to the narrative. And it's like, guys, let's you don't have to parade them for what they're doing in wrestling, but jumping on any flaw they have is just a bad look in my eye. It makes me cringe.
Yeah, they're fragile as a company, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's but I digress. I wanted to go on a rant and I didn't. I'm I'm not trying to be negative, but it was like repeatedly frustrating where I'm like, ugh. But so back to this weekend, so many talking points. I guess the final one for Penn State for me would be Braden Davis kind of just plays right in with the chaos at 125. That weight this year has been so exciting. After so many years of Spencer Lee next topic, now it's almost like there's a curse of the number one guy in the country.
Yeah.
And
well, I said after a week or two that they need to start Braden Davis.
Yeah, you did.
And but to be honest, I didn't think he'd be right in the thick of it, and I didn't think he'd be this, right? I knew he could be competitive. My thought process was Robbie's never going to be healthy. Steen isn't the guy right now. Davis gives you a shot. Where he could go on a run late in the season, and there's potential there. I don't think there's potential with Robbie. I don't think there's potential with Steen. I don't think there's potential with other guys. I think with Davis gives you a shot. Now, that's what I thought in November, December. Now it's between Davis's shown ability and the parity that exists at 125. He's right in the mix.
Yeah, and it's funny. It looks like Matt Ramos is going to be, I got to imagine, back to that number one ranking, which is funny because isn't that how the season started?
Yeah.
But yeah, 125 has been so much fun. I think all these guys are putting it on the line. Drake AL, I know he just lost this weekend to Ramos 4-1, but he has looked so good this year. So good.
Drake has looked good. McKee teched Smith. Somebody DM'd me. Man, if McKee has lungs, he's dangerous too. I mean, McKee is such a wild card. He doesn't get talked about too much. I mean, he hasn't been great. But I mean, you look at the field. You look at this field and say Patrick McKee can't podium. Patrick McKee can't make a run. Patrick McKee can't make a semi. I think you're crazy. A lot of guys could make a semi here.
Yeah, I mean, Crystal Ball, I don't think you've updated it yet, but
I haven't, but it's coming.
If you had to spitball your top 8 at 125, could you do it?
Yeah, I have it open right here, actually. I was all ready to do it, and then two things. One, I wanted to get junior high rankings out, and two, I want to wait till the Intermat updates the rankings tomorrow. I already have a thing. I have Ramos, Davis, Ayala. That's my top 3. Although I might have Figs higher. I don't Figs. How many matches has Figs wrestled?
Not many.
Not many. So that's tough. But yeah, I mean, I have Davis. I'll have Davis top 5. I'll have Davis top 5.
Figs has 6 matches. He's 4-2.
And it's just I don't know what the hell to make of so many guys. I don't know what to make of Richie Figs. I don't know what to make of Cooper Flynn. I don't know what to make of Patrick McKee. I don't know what to make of DiAugustino. I don't know really what to make of Provo. So, listen, I call myself the Brain. I mean, you know, that's a shtick. And I think I know a lot of wrestling. I can speak with no certainty on what's going to happen at 125.
No, and Nico has now lost 4 times. You know, he was looking great. He goes out, wins the Cliff Keen, and then we had him on the podcast. And then the next duel, he loses to Cooper Flynn, and then drops a match a couple weeks later to Steve O'Poolen to Southern Scuffle, and then gets majored by Noah Certain, and then loses in overtime to Max Gallagher. Like, this weight is just wide open. This is one of those weights at NCAA's that's going to be so fun, because you're going to legitimately have so many matches where either guy can win late in the tournament. Like, if you think about the quarterfinals at 125, there's not going to be a lot of heavy favorites.
If they had a 77-man bracket of 125, just 125 nationals, I would go.
Yeah, no, I mean, throw every 125-pounder in the country. Just throw them in there.
Throw them in there.
So,
I mean, Eli Griffin's doing good. Kid from Cal Baptist.
Since you brought up Richie Figs,
who Griffin just beat?
Poulin, Steve-O.
Yeah. Yep.
Beat him 7-4. And Steve-O's looked good. He only has like two losses. But speaking of Richie Figs, one of the talking points I had, you can kind of always kind of go by my talking points by what I share on Baschamania, because a lot of it, that's what kind of gets my attention. Little Rock beating Arizona State 18-15.
Yeah,
very happy that Little Rock got their first win against a ranked team. That's, you know, great for them, great for the program, and did it at home. Thought that was cool. At the same time, I'm texting
really
Chenzo.
Yeah.
And
really
I'm like,
Neil Arisman, he's a good dude, and that's big. That's big for the program.
Yeah, that was an awesome duel. But unfortunately, you do have to look at the other side.
Yeah, Figs majored Reno. Nasir Bailey beat Julian Claybob. They had a backup 41-pounder Cody Foote who beat Brendan Van Hoke, which I thought was weird. Parco beat Dutton. Listen, I consider guys like Dutton, Matt Bianchi, maybe even Van Hoke to be some of the best wrestlers on Little Rock's team. All 3 of those lost, and they still won the duel. And I think what you're getting at is Arizona State lost to Little Rock. They got in a duel. They got murdered by Missouri earlier in the year in the duel. And they would have had 2 losses. Do you know they would have had 2 dual losses on the weekend if Dayton Pitzer shoulder didn't pop out? So Colton Schultz is wrestling Dayton Pitzer, and Pitt leads by like 4 or 5. And it's third period. Colton Schultz has a comfortable lead, but it's a regular decision. Pitzer's arm pops out. They put it back in. He tries to go. It pops out again. They had the default. That default gave Arizona State the winner. They would have lost twice this weekend. But I think what you're getting at is, one, some teams that are down right now. And Arizona State, first of all, they have a lot of injuries. They didn't have Vasquez. They didn't have somebody else. But they're just not built for the composition of the lineup is just not built for duels this year.
Can I ask you a question I saw on the internet? that doesn't come from me.
A question that you saw on the internet.
Yep, that does not come from me.
Go for it.
Is Zeke Jones on the hot seat?
No.
If you're an Arizona State
That's
fan,
preposterous.
listen. So here's where I'm going with this. I'm friends with some Arizona State fans, and I don't want to say who they are because they're somewhat associated with the program. Not Chenzo or any of the coaches or athletes, like legitimate fans. And they're like, they've been pissed off all year. They've been pissed off at guys not wrestling. They've been pissed off at going to a duels and guys don't wrestle. They're tired of injuries. And I lean personally more so towards bad luck. I kind of agree with you. I don't think Zeke should be on a hot seat. But you do have to wonder the culture of the program. There's a lot of injuries. There is, like, if you're an Arizona State fan and you have all these resources, are you happy with the status of the program?
If you're not happy with the status of the program, you're an idiot. How about you tell your Arizona State friends that? Because they're perennially top 10 in the country. Arizona State, other than when Bobby Douglas coached them for a brief period of time, they have never been this consistently good. Okay? They're top 10 every time. Also tell your Arizona State friends that duels in December don't matter. Duels, it's not what you're judged by. Tell them to get back to you on March 22nd. Tell them to or March 24th, whatever it is. Tell them to get back to you when Arizona State finishes top 10 with Figs as an All-American, Teamer as an All-American, Colton Schultz as an All-American. Tell them to get back to you and see how they feel about the program then. That's a preposterous statement.
I've seen the discussion out there, which is why I brought it up and why I preface that it's not necessarily my take. I do think some of the fans are upset because the expectations are high when you have the talent they have in the room, and they're, I think this is more a down year, but hey, you're the brain. I just asked the questions.
Yeah. I mean, I think some people, here's another thing. And this is no disrespect. I think the world of Cody Chittum, but when Ja'Cory Teamer loses and looks the way he does to Cody Chittum, it's not that Cody Chittum won the match. It's that how Ja'Cory looked at the time. Like, he's coming back down to weight for after Christmas break. Like, I'm telling you, holiday break is a weird thing. Some guys don't train. Some programs don't train hard enough, and it bites them because they're just not in rhythm the way other programs are. Some teams, I'm telling you right now, I've had conversations about it. Some teams overtrain, and they get beat by teams that are fresher. And so it's a really unique thing. I think there's some dynamics that have changed. It's always been a unique thing. How to get, how to have a training cycle over break is one thing. Another thing is now that a lot of the power programs aren't going to the scuffle. A lot of power programs aren't going to Midlands. So there's nothing to train for at the time, really, other than to train to prepare for the future, right? So some guys go a little bit too hard. Some guys don't go hard enough because they don't have to make weight. They don't have to get down. It's a really tricky thing. Look, here's the bottom line. Michigan hasn't looked right. Nebraska has looked bad. Arizona State's not full, right? I mean, this is what happens early January. It happens a lot.
So you bring up Nebraska, which was my next segue, because, Teamer, his only loss aside from Chittum and the injury, the first duel of the year, he lost a close one to Peyton Robb, the Cliff Keen, 6'4".
And you watch that, and that bracket was ridiculous. That bracket was ridiculous. It's probably the best bracket we will see before NCAAs. Deepest bracket you'll see before NCAAs. And everybody watched Peyton Robb and Ja'Cory Teamer and said, this is the Caleb Henson and said, "This is the NCAA final, right? What it's going to be Rob, Teamer, Henson, and maybe Franek, right?" Well, Teamer gets beat by Chittum, and Rob loses 4 in a row.
That was my next topic, is that, we had said after we did that midseason preview a couple weeks ago, and I believe it was right after Peyton Robb lost to Ryder Downey, and you said, Rob gets a mulligan. And then the following week, he drops a 5-4 match to Jared Franek. He loses 12-6 to Michael Blockhaus, and now he gets pinned by Joey Blaze. Yeah. And I texted you right away because I didn't put the dots together for a minute. Like, I saw the Joey Blaze upset, and then I go, wait a minute. Didn't he also just lose to Blockhaus? And, oh, yeah, Franek. And, oh, my gosh, Robert Downey. I'm like, wow, we don't really see this that often where a top 3 guy drops 4 in a row like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think he'll be fine. I think he needs rest. Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I've seen Peyton Robb's work ethic. I've seen Peyton Robb. I mean, we've all seen Peyton Robb at his best. At his best, he's a contender, right? Obviously, he's not been that the last month, but what we saw when he was fresh, what he was capable of.
Yeah, and, it's funny because you had mentioned yesterday when we were talking about how, you think he needs a little rest. And I'm curious, if you were a coach, what's your balance? And I think I know your answer, but I'm going to ask so people listening can hear it anyways. What's the balance between right now, after dropping 4 in a row, his rank is not going to be very high? No. What's the balance of, if you were his coach, resting him versus, as they're in the thick of the Big Ten conference schedule, and you have some duels where getting those ranked wins will help? Seems like the rest is just far more important, and let things shake out. I mean, he's obviously going to place very high, I still think, at Big Tens, and that'll kind of negate it before NCAAs, but it could be interesting, where you rest them versus where you try to get those matches in.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about the Big Ten, is that there's no rest for the weary. And I talked to the staff after the Minnesota match, and they said that they said Rob probably was not going to go on Sunday, and I don't know this for sure, but I imagine that they said to Peyton, like, "Hey, you need to rest. Let's get you right." And I imagine Peyton said, "No, I'm going." Right. That's what I would imagine.
The funny thing is, too, his next 3 are not the toughest matches.
Mm-hmm.
But so let's just say you rest him for a couple of matches. Then, starting February 9th, Will Luan, Levi Haynes, Ja'Cory Teamer to finish off the dual season.
Yeah. Yeah. Luan, Haynes, Teamer to end the year. And so, I don't know if we see him Northwestern, Wisconsin, Illinois. They probably don't need him to win those duels. Maybe Illinois. But I would arrest him. Yeah, that's the thing about the Big Ten, is there's no layups, right? It's always tough. Even the guys you're favored over, you gotta be on point. And so, yeah, I think he'll be fine at the end. But when you see whole teams perform like down, like Nebraska's performed, they haven't looked right. The good thing for them is they didn't look right against UNI. They still won the duel. They didn't look great against Minnesota. They still won the duel. They performed, Peyton Robb loses to Joey Blaze, gets pinned by Joey Blaze. Caleb Smith doesn't wrestle. They still win the duel. Fortunate enough for them, they still won some duels, but they haven't looked right. But when you see teams not look right, it's just me. It's after break. Michigan, Nebraska, Arizona State. They're just not clicking right now, but they'll get back to it.
I've had some Penn State fans DM me that about Levi Haynes. Like, he's had some of
Yeah,
these close matches, and I'm like, they're like, do you think maybe he's injured? I'm like, listen, I just think it's the thick of the season, and guys are banged up. Guys have close matches. I don't think it's indicating of where he's going to be at the end of the season, match-wise, and how I just think, listen, it's a gauntlet, and it's hard to look like, your Carter Starachi every match. Like, you're only going to have so many guys who all of their matches, they're going to absolutely dominate. But for me, like, I like the matches, like, even yesterday, Levi Haynes and Chase Date went like 12 minutes. And then Levi ended up getting a reversal at the last second, winning the match. Like, that's great. I think you sometimes learn more and see the guys develop more from a heart-pounding 12-minute match versus just going out majoring someone.
Absolutely. And, even if Levi would have lost that, the sky's not falling, guys. It's a dual meet in January. And number one. Number two, I had some people, too, say, what do you think's wrong with Levi? Like, what do you mean? What? He's fine. At first, he's never been he's a true sophomore. He wrestled above his skis last year. He's not untouchable. Nobody's untouchable. Who's untouchable? You got 5 guys in the NCAA that are untouchable. Levi's not one of them right just yet.
Yeah, he's young, and he has, he had a weird overtime loss early in the season last year. Like, I don't know. I don't think anything's wrong with him. I think it's just,
it's just wrestling. Division I wrestling's tough.
Where did Ridge Lovett fall on your 24 guys most dominant? He's looked pretty good. He's continued to.
He's looked really good. He's oddly enough, he was tied for 13th. Averages 4.3. So he averages a major, but he's a weird one because he seems to struggle majoring lesser talent. And one thing that I've heard from him is a little frustration that guys don't wrestle him. Like, guys play defense, shut down, right?
Yeah.
But okay, so he went major tech, 1-0 decision over Jeff Boyd. He's had some regular decisions that were like, that's interesting.
And that Navy Classic, he beat Jeff Boyd 1-0, but then it was 18-1 tech, 20-2 tech, in a pin in 40 seconds.
Earlier I said Caleb Henson at 57. I lost my marbles. Caleb Henson at 49. That was one. That was one that we said it was Rob Teamer. This could be an NCAA final. It was also Lovett Henson. This could be an NCAA final.
Yeah.
That was a great bout.
Henson's looked awesome. His only loss being a close 4-3 loss to Lovett.
Right.
20 wins on the year, just that one lone loss.
Yeah, I ran some numbers. Let's see what Caleb Henson looks like. I ran some numbers on some of the one-loss guys. I'm sure David Carr would probably be up there. Michael Beard's way high. Dean Hamidi's way high. His bonus point rate, Henson's bonus point rate is only 62%. So he'd probably be pretty high amongst the one-loss guys, but not that high. What else?
I was going to make a mention of the senior level this weekend. I saw some people whining that Gomez did not wrestle in the duel and wrestled in a tournament in Mexico, to which I said, who cares? He's trying to make an Olympic run. Of course he's going to, miss a weekend.
And as if that wasn't discussed before, right? Like, I'm sure Sean Bourmet said, hey, Austin, you want to wrestle as a senior for us? Yeah, but I have to do some freestyle stuff. Okay, sure, fine. Right? It's like, I'm sure that was part of the plan.
Yeah, I don't think he's wrestled 3 matches for Michigan this year. I don't think he was somebody who was going to come in and wrestle 30, 40 matches. I think he was the guy who was going to come in. And I was a bit surprised for the Penn State duel, but I don't think, that event he wrestled at Mexico, I'm sure, like you said, that was discussed well beforehand. Also, Michigan just lined up absolutely terrible against Penn State. I saw betonline.ag had college wrestling lines, which I loved. I didn't like the -22, but I took it just because it makes it more fun. And, I couldn't believe it. Like 22 points. I'm like, that seems so much. Michigan's a great school. And, going through the lineups, it's just, man, Michigan just does not line up well with them. But yeah, I didn't think it was a big deal. I did saw some people crying about it.
So, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I was deep in Tulsa Nationals. I was deep into NCAA and doing these statistic stuff. I don't even know what happened international wise. Run me down.
Okay, so Gomez wrestled in Mexico. So most of the people this weekend were competing at Henry Delane in France.
Right.
Gomez wrestled in a tournament in Mexico, won it with ease. To give you the men's freestyle rundown, at 57, Roman wrestling from Mexico beat Daniel DeShazer 2-1.
That's at Delane, right?
Delane, yeah. Yep. 65, Aiden Valencia won the weight.
Really?
Won the weight. Nashon Garrett took 9th place. Kalazic took 5th place. Ashnault went 0-2. Lost to Bulgarian kid and then lost 13-12 to Garrett.
Who'd Valencia beat in the finals?
I can't remember. I think it was this French kid.
It had to be somebody that beat somebody.
No,
right?
he the guy looked great. I wasn't too familiar with who he was.
France. You see a lot of guys from France with Caucasus region names, like Russian sounding names.
Yeah.
And I was of the impression that they were just defects, right? They were like defecting to France, or like France was buying them, right?
Yeah.
But I was at cadet or junior worlds, and you ride a bus. All the people stay at the same hotel, and you ride these, but they have buses that just go from the athletes hotel to the venue. And I was riding a bus with some of them, some of these French kids, and they're like, "Nah, they live there. They lived there since they were young, so they started migrating there years ago."
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the bracket to see who he beat in the finals.
That's interesting. I saw a post where Aiden Valencia, I think it was on Twitter, said something to the effect of like,
he beat a French kid who has a the
Azerbaijani name.
It's like Kazmat Arsamir Zoyev. So that was that. Berger and Facundo both won bronze medals. Very stupid that we give out 2 bronze medals at these events. I make them wrestle. Make them wrestle one more match for true bronze. It is the dumbest thing ever.
They are doing that at the Last Chance Olympic qualifier.
I saw that anytime I share some of these results and I'm like, oh, they got bronze and so got bronze, and you see like a casual college wrestling fan like, what is that, a typo? I'm like, no, I make a lot of typos, that ain't one. Like, that's how they do it. LaValle took 5th place, lost 8-6 to Berger. Mark
Zilmer
Hall
won, right?
What's that?
Zilmer won.
Yep. Zilmer took gold. He beat Trent Hilger in the finals. Mike Mock beat Nate Jackson 4-2 for gold at 97. Mark Hall took silver, lost to Darren Krugliev 10-4.
Oh yeah.
And then Taylor Luan got bronze at 86. A couple other. I don't know why some of these guys like Camden McDaniels wrestling 92, Yaya Thomas 70. I don't know why some of these guys are wrestling the non-Olympic weights.
Well,
I don't know if it's just to get a feel for some matches or what.
that's their weight. That's their weight. I mean, listen, Yaya.
I get it.
Camden McDaniel made the junior team last year. He as a first-year junior. I mean, he's not making the Olympic team. So you should just go the weight.
So you think it's just getting matches in, just getting international matches in.
And Camden McDaniel, he's doing like a gap year. He's doing a gray shirt year at the OTC. He's committed to Nebraska. So, why not? Why not just get in some matches,
Yep. So that it's going to quiet down now before it heats up on the senior level, because now in a couple weeks we're going to get Yanni and Nick Lee wrestling a one-off match. I think it's actually a best of 3 series, I think, to find out who's going to go to the Pan Am Olympic qualifiers, which is at the end of February, which is pretty much the next thing in the schedule. It's Pan Am Olympic qualifiers really just for 57 and 65 to try to qualify the weight. Zane Richards going at 57. Nobody's challenging him. Your rumor was shot down. We discussed Vito and Fix dropping potentially, and then it sounds like Mike Gray came out and said, no, he's not dropping.
Yeah, yep. And Dayton came out and said it too.
And by the way, they're both dropping, just not for college.
Right.
They're still dropping to 25. What other golden nuggets you got from the weekend?
Not many really. Friday was busy, Sunday was busy, Saturday not so much. There were a lot of upsets though, weren't there?
You know what's a Penn State fact that you missed? Since we're talking great Penn State facts. Last weekend, they shut out Indiana 46-0. They did not give up a single takedown in the entire duel. And then Friday night, they didn't give up a takedown through like 6 or 7 matches. Crazy. So they went like 16, 17, 18 matches without giving up a single takedown.
Yeah. What'd you think about the pin? I sent a tweet that I said I hate non-control falls, to which a lot of people responded. That's a fall. That he was pinned.
That's what
I didn't say he wasn't pinned, guys. I said I hate him.
That to me was like, either way, it seemed like he was going to get near fall points. So even if he wasn't pinned, I don't think it changes anything. So I was kind of like, he lost. It is what it is. Whether it's a pin or not, I'm not a rules guy, so I have no clue. But I didn't even really look into it too much. I don't like him.
And everybody was barking about reaction time is getting way too long. Go look at the clip of Pinto and Salazar. I mean, that's reaction upon reaction upon reaction time.
Yeah. I enjoy watching people like you commentate on it, because rules and that side of it is not my MO.
I'm not, I talk a lot about wrestling. There's not many people that do as many shows as I do. So I talk about the rules, but listen, I don't pretend to be an expert on knowing line by line the book. And I mean, I do actually know the line by line on that on this particular rule, and it says it's not defined. It's undefined. It's up to the referee's judgment. And to me, the referees are leaving it play out way too long and say, "Oh, it's reaction time." I'm like, I don't know. It's supposed to prevent a flash takedown. what Pinto did to Salazar was not flash. I mean, he was there for a while. I don't know.
I'm watching it again.
I mean, when Salazar's hip flips, you got to call it. That is the reaction. That is the reaction is his hips flipping. He's fighting it. The hips flip. There's your 3.
Every time I rewatch the clip that you shared, that angle specifically, my attention, because I'm so ADD, just goes to Izzy's reaction.
I know.
I love Izzy. He gets so hyped.
Yeah.
That's trying to think what else. This was going through both of our tweets. Clovis Buchanan, that duel. I want to get to that one time. That atmosphere looks so electric.
It is. You can feel the energy. It's crazy. It reminds me a lot. Yeah, it reminds. I mean, I wrestled in some of those kind of duels in my high school career. Easton, Nazareth, Northampton. We were all top 7 in the nation, and the crowds that they would get there were crazy. I will never forget wrestling Nazareth. We were 1 and 2 in the state, and I don't know, 2 and 4 in the nation, and it was at their place, and I'll never forget. I couldn't hear. It was just a buzz. It was nutty. And that's how it gets out there. The whole town, the communities. It's really awesome.
Well, it's crazy. I was explaining to a local fan, just your average. I hate when people tell me casual fans don't exist, because I have so many friends that tune in for the absolute biggest duels or NCAAs, and they know nothing else. They don't know anything about the senior level. Right. They're out there. They exist. But long story short, ran into him. We were actually talking about Clovis Buchanan, and I remember the first time somebody told me how close they were. When I learned that they're the next town over, you expect it an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours away. These big, it's literally the next town over. It's so crazy to me.
Yeah, that's how close. I went to it last year, and I was amazed at how close it was. When I talk about Easton, Nazareth, who would you know? They've had Sammy Sasso's from Nazareth, right? Yeah. Jordan Oliver's from Easton, but when we wrestled back then, it's the next town over. I mean, I probably, I guess Clovis Buchanan probably the same thing. And there was a time when Easton won the AAA state title and Wilson won the AA state title, 2 years in a row. They had the billboards up, and they Easton and Wilson touch. I mean, it's you get this pockets of really good wrestling, and it's just really interesting. It's really, really fun.
One other random note from last week. I don't know if did you watch the Zagreb Open? Did you pay attention to much of that?
No, I've been totally checking out international stuff.
So this was crazy. Women's 76 kilos.
Yeah.
At the ranking series. Kylie Welker loses to this girl Wang in the quarters. Then Kennedy Blades drops a match to Wang. Then Kennedy Blades pins Kylie Welker after being up 2-0, wins a bronze.
Yeah.
Then I forgot how to say her name, Apiri, Kaizi, something. She texts Adeline Gray 10-0.
Kizzy?
Yeah. Yep. And then Gray wrestles back, wins a bronze. And then you have both.
Kizzy beat Adeline?
10-0. And then Gray gets a bronze, wins 3-1 for bronze. And then Kizzy beats Wang, who lost to Welker and Blades.
Yeah.
Wang beat Welker and Blades, and then Kizzy beats Wang 2-1 in the finals for gold. That weight, both domestic and international, is is bananas. The fact
Yeah.
that we sent Welker, Blades, and Gray and didn't win the weight is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Like, number one, it's going to be crazy domestically to see who wins that weight and makes the team. But even the talent internationally at that weight, that weight is just bananas.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when it gets condensed.
Yeah.
And refresh my memory. Emit is going down.
I believe so, yeah. And
That's
Tamara Mensah stock teased last week or 2 weeks ago. She goes, debating whether or not I should go to the Olympic trials. And I'm like, my brain right away went, is she going to return? Like, that's wild. Like, she literally said, should I go or not to the trials? And so, I put out a graphic. I'm like, wow, Olympic champ returning, ? And everybody else kind of talking about it. And then like a day later, she goes, guys, sorry, it wasn't very clear. I'm not coming back to compete. I was just debating whether or not I should go to the event. I'm like, yeah, I guess that was a little confusing on both ends. I'm like, I just assuming if an Olympic champ
had to be playing. She had to be playing, right?
I'm like, if an Olympic champ who just retired within a couple of years says debating going to Olympic trials, I wasn't thinking it was as a spectator.
I'm so sorry to lose her. I'm so sorry wrestling's losing her because she's such a great person and she's so good. And she helps the team. But I get it, right? Like a lot of times wrestlers stay past their prime. But anyway, is she doing WWE?
Yeah.
Hey,
it's crazy.
You know who's looked good is Dustin Plott. Dustin Plott beat Munoz this weekend. And for a lot of people that have been poo-pooing Oklahoma State the last few years, and they haven't been on the same trajectory, on the same plane as traditionally, but Oklahoma State's pretty dang tough. Spratley's up there.
16-1, only lost to Lenny Pinto, which he then turned around and beat Lenny Pinto.
Yeah. Plot looks good. So Oklahoma State beat Oregon State 27-9. Kaler beat Spratley. Fix won. Jamison lost to Belton. Sammy Alvarez looks like the guy at 49 now. T. Travis has been wrestling well. Who T. Travis beat that was big a couple weeks ago? He beat somebody.
He beat Ed Scott in a close one, 7-6.
Ed Scott, yep. Olejnik. Thompson beat Olguin. Plott beat Munoz. Cerber's back in the lineup. Doucette's doing well. So Oklahoma State looks tough.
Yeah. They look good. I'm trying to think if I got anything else.
I don't know. What's coming up, bud? What's your weekend like? What's this weekend like for you? Are you oh man, I'm not even gonna bring it up.
Thank you.
It looks like your schedule opened up for Sunday.
I'm surprised that we got 53 minutes in. Yeah, I'm heartbroken. That was a tough. Mahomes is just, this is like his 6th straight AFC championship. I don't know what we do. Like, our defense is so bad. We have so many injuries, but it's like,
I thought your defense was good earlier in the season.
We had injuries.
Especially, who's the middle linebacker? White dude.
Milano.
He's really tough.
He's injured. We're injured. It's like, but it doesn't matter. I'm convinced that it doesn't. The script was already written. Did you see the? Let me send this to you.
Patrick Mahomes has never missed an AFC title game.
I think his first or second year he didn't go there, but he's been 6 straight now.
That is insane.
Yeah. I'm sending you something that was put out a couple months ago. Let me see. All right, look at what I just sent you. It's the Super Bowl logos, and you can see that the script was already written this year for it to be the 49ers and the Ravens. So I would bet the house money line next week on
How?
49ers
How?
Ravens.
Why? Who made it?
Look at the color schemes.
I don't know.
The script is already written. You have the Bengals Rams with an orange-yellow Super Bowl logo, Eagles Chiefs with a green-red Super Bowl logo, and now you have red and purple 49ers in Baltimore. The script is written. The NFL is rigged.
Maybe. Could be.
And I think the Bills team is going to look so different now next year.
Why?
I don't know what happens with Poyer and Micah Hyde. I don't know what happens with Diggs. I don't know. I don't know if Von Miller's coming back. It's just I think it's just going to be a completely different team next year. This was our year. We had a really good shot.
I don't know. Listen, last year's game might have been the best I ever seen. Was it last year's game or 2 years ago?
The Chiefs-Bills?
Chiefs-Bills. When they scored
overtime.
like 100 points in like the last 5 minutes.
2 years ago.
Oh, that was such a good game.
I'm so sad there's only a couple NFL games left.
Well, then we get right. Then we get busy. Then we get right into wrestling like this.
Correct. That's like for non-wrestling fans. I feel bad because the NFL's over, and then like now you have this lull. Like I guess some people college basketball, but yeah, NFL over stinks.
Basketball is so lame anymore. I liked it when I was a kid.
I can't get into it.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's a revolving door of personnel.
Yeah.
Right. I think pro sports like it's still bigger than ever, right? But I think it lost a lot of its appeal with so much free agency. It's like,
can I ask you a
teams aren't teams anymore? They're rent-a-players.
Can I ask you I'm gonna give a hot take, and you say if it's true or false.
I love it.
Caitlin Clark, best athlete to come out of Iowa.
The state of Iowa or the University of Iowa?
University.
Nah, I don't know about that.
She's incredible. She's absolutely incredible.
She is incredible. Well, let me ask you this. Why didn't she go pro? Is she too young to go pro?
I don't know. I don't follow it all. It's just I catch all the highlights. It's just like she's a human highlight reel.
I mean, Iowa produces Pro Bowl tight ends like a factory right now. George Kittle, Hawkinson, Laporta.
George Kittle is my favorite athlete to come out of Iowa.
I don't really know how
George Kittle's great.
I don't know how you say Caitlin Clark's, but I mean, I guess it's TBD. Best college athlete, maybe, but you got a litany of guys that won Olympics.
Hey, I said it was a hot take. I didn't say it was true. I just posed the question.
I mean, she's up there. She's in the conversation. I don't know, but that's not. It's not a. I don't think it's a bad take.
Yeah, I don't know what's coming up. I feel like the tide's turning. The NFL season's over for me. My son turns 2 on Super Bowl Sunday, and I told my wife we can't plan his birthday party until we know if the Bills are in the Super Bowl or not, because that changes the whole day. That changes the whole party. So now that the Bills are done, I've got to start planning that birthday party, and we got to figure out what we're doing.
What about like Caitlin Clark, the best athlete to come out of Iowa, but soon the Iowa women's team is going to produce like half the Olympians on the wrestling team.
Yeah,
I'm hoping, and it seems to be going right. I'm hoping that Lehigh starts a program because I feel like there could be a really good rivalry. I feel like those two would clearly be 1 and 2, and especially Wyoming Seminary's girls team is the best, hands down. It's basically like the incubator program for like cadets and junior world team, right? Women, and they will have a direct pipeline to Lehigh. So I feel like that rivalry could be instantaneous if it happens.
Yeah, No, you're not wrong. And yeah, aside from that, I don't know. Ron DeSantis dropped out, endorsed Trump. We're just covering all news now.
I mean, we call it. Yeah. What? Do you have a weather report for Coeur d'Alene? Hey, speaking of casuals.
See, here you go. I knew we'd get there.
Speaking of casuals, I went to the grocery store the other day, and I don't have the hat here, but I was wearing a Nebraska wrestling hat. And by the way, to the people in the South that get 2 inches of snow and like shut the city down,
that ain't it.
Yeah, we get 2 feet out here, and people just go about their business. Yeah. So I'm at the grocery store, and I go to the deli counter. I said, "Yeah, give me a pound of prosciutto. Give me half a pound of ham." And this lady says, "Oh, are you a Husker?" And I forgot I had the hat on. She's looking at my hat. I said, "Oh yeah. No," I said, "I went there for a little bit, and I still go back a lot." And I said, "My buddy's a coach for the wrestling team." She goes, "Oh, I know a kid that wrestles there. I'm really good friends with his mom. His name's Lovett." And I said, yeah, small world, because Ridge is from right down the road,
Yeah.
And so that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I always love when there's that connection.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's all I got for today.
It was good. Good quick hitter.
I don't have too much of an inkling as to what's going on. I have really just still digesting this weekend, and then the next couple of days, look ahead.
Are you going to NCAAs this year?
Undecided. TBD.
Or listen to me. You didn't go last year, did you?
No.
You went 2 years ago, right? Because we hung out a little bit.
Yeah.
Next year, Philly, you got to go, dude.
Oh, Philly, I'm 100%. That's a done deal. I'm going. Philly, I'm definitely going. Philly, I'm going, and I'm trying to coordinate getting a suite before they go on sale. We talked about it last year. If we can't get a suite, it's hard. Like, to cover the sport, to have the conversations, having a media credential and access to a suite is the way to do it. So you can kind of work the event. You can, do what you need to do. At some point, it's just better off staying at home. So we'll see.
All right. So me and you probably won't do another show this week. You'll probably do one independently. I'll probably do one independently. But real quick, here's the highlights. Michigan, Ohio State Friday night. Who you got? That's a good one. That's a really good evenly matchup duel.
I'm going to go Ohio State. It's just Michigan has not impressed me lately.
That's going to be a really good duel.
I wonder what WrestleStat has it.
I'm going to go Ohio State as well. But with the caveat that I didn't go through all the matchups.
WrestleStat has Michigan over Ohio State 18-13.
Okay, so 16 or 15. One match gets flipped, and it's Ohio State win. So it's good.
I mean, they got D'Agostino winning. D'Agostino hasn't really impressed me. They got Buzakis
beating Macron should be a good match. I mean,
they got Buzakis beating Ragusin. I kind of lean Ragusin there. I like Mendez over Lemley. I like
keep going
Gomez D'Amelio. I could see that going either way.
And if Gomez isn't back, then D'Amelio beats Mayora.
I think Will Luan beats Isaac Wilcox.
Yes.
Then we got a mean Hepner.
That's a mean.
Yeah. Shane Griffith over Rocco Welch.
That's close.
Yeah. No, that's going to be a close match.
That's close. 84.
84, Jaden Bullock, Seth Shoemate.
Or Hoffman. 97, Geog and
Strigow. Bobby Strigow.
This is a close duel.
Yeah. And then Feldman and Davison.
Oh, Feldman Davidson. It's really close.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who I'm going to take there. Okay, we got Nebraska Northwestern, Iowa State, Oklahoma, Northern Iowa, Oklahoma State. Ooh, we get Keckeyes and Plot.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Iowa, Illinois. That's it for Friday. Little Rock, Oregon State. Saturday, Iowa State, Okie State. Oh boy, that's a good one. That's a good one. Who's Okie State's 41 right now?
Jameson.
Oh, Jameson. So Jameson, Etchemendia, Spratley, Terrakina, Fix, Frost. That's a good.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, that's a good duel. That'll be. Wow, Northern Iowa wrestles Okie State Friday, Oklahoma Saturday. And Oklahoma wrestles Iowa State and Northern Iowa back-to-back days.
Iowa State, Oklahoma State is actually a really good duel. I'm going through these.
Really good. Really
Yeah. Good. I mean, you got potentially Terrakina and Spratley. Then you got Frost and Fix. Then you got Etchemendia, Jameson. Then you got Swiderski, Alvarez. Then you got Chittum, Teague Travis.
Mm-hmm.
You got David Carr, Oljenik.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a good duel.
Who's 74?
MJ versus Braden Thompson. Then
Pretty
you got Feldkamp Plot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Plot has Feldkamp and Keckeisen.
Yeah.
This weekend.
Big weekend. Then you got Julian Broderson versus Luke Serber. And then it closes out with Younger Bastida and Connor. Duquette?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great matchup. That's a great matchup. So a lot of good duels. That's just Friday. Saturday. Sunday is Penn State, Maryland, Missouri, Cornell. Great duel.
Yep.
Columbia, Penn, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa, Northwestern, Little Rock, Stanford. So it's another great weekend.
Who you got, Cornell or Missouri? We'll do a rundown real quick. Unger versus Noah Certain.
Who knows?
Does Vito wrestle? Vito versus Cade Moore.
I don't think Vito wrestles, and I think Moore wins.
Vince Cornella versus Josh Edmond. Then you got a couple.
Cornella, but with not a lot of confidence.
Fernandez versus Logan Joffrey. I don't know what that is. I don't know why that name doesn't sound familiar at all. Shapiro versus Brock Mahler. That'll be a good match.
Ooh, give it to me.
And then you got O'Toole Ramirez. Back-to-back great matches. Peyton Mako versus Benny Baker. Then you got Chris Foca versus Clayton Whiting. And then you got another banger. And then you got Elam Cardenas.
And Elam Fernandez.
Yep. Great duel.
That duel's at Cornell. Man, if I was at home, I'd definitely go to that.
Yeah.
All right. So another great weekend on tap.
Yeah. No, we got a good weekend on tap. All right, that's today's show. Like, subscribe, tell us why we're PSU homers in the comments, and we'll be back with a new episode soon.
And the beat goes on.